as I was saying, people, stay in the ark of God. Stay in the ark. You know, but this painting is like it's not the best in the world. It's got certain animals in there, but it just shows me every time I look at it, like, be careful. You don't want to be left behind. And how do you stop from being left behind? You be obedient to God. Don't matter how minuscule it seems. It's just Christmas. It's just Easter. It's just this. It's just Mardi Gras. It's just that. You know, I got a good feeling that a lot of people are going to end up in hell thinking it's just that. Like God is just turning a blind eye to the evils that he told us not to indulge in. Just as like he says, it's okay, I know they love me for real. When the Bible clearly says he's a jealous God. I always explain it like in a relationship. Jealousy. Jealousy is a deadly thing. But there is, according to God being a jealous God, there is a good jealousy. Like if you're a married man or you're a married woman, you don't want your wife or husband all up in another man or woman's face, treating them like they treat you. Do you get it? But that's what we're doing when we serve and worship and set up other gods in our heart or physically. We're like telling God, you okay with adultery, right? You okay with me being a whore? You okay with me being a harlot? But as we know from reading the Bible, God doesn't like those things. He doesn't like for us to go against him. The thing is, God is slow to anger. He gives us so many times to change from our evil ways. That's why a lot of people need to really read the Old Testament, especially the first 4 books. You need to read them. All the way to Joshua. You know, after Joshua died, a book came up. You know, judges came. And everything Moses said, they did. He said, y'all, in Deuteronomy, he said, y'all gonna set up for y'allself gods. When I die, y'all gonna turn from the Most High God. And you read Judges, people were setting up house of gods. They got somebody, a goldsmith, to set up their gods in their house. It's like, how soon did they forget? But you know why they forgot? Because they stopped spreading the word. I always bring up the story in the book of Kings when the law of the Lord had been hidden for years, like buried under a bunch of doctrine. And one of the scribes, when they was cleaning up the temple, they found the book of the Lord. And he ran and took it to the king, and when the king read it, he started crying, ripped his garments, and he started instituting God's commandments back in play instantly. Why can't we do the same as a nation? You know, we just give over to everything. You know, and I understand why God said don't mix with the people. And it's not about race. It's about who they serve. I always tell my personal story about me being a Christian and getting in a relationship with a pagan witch, and how during that time frame I was torn. She was telling me her belief systems. I'm kind of telling her mine, but I really didn't know the Bible as much back then. But I'm starting to like, there must be other gods. And I'm just turning from my first love. And eventually, I started going through hell and high water. And guess what I did? I returned to my first love. Some was just vexing my soul. This ain't right, Houston. This witchcraft ain't what it at. And I gave my life to God. And he told me the deceitfulness behind it. And I'm glad I can tell other people that story. The people like, well, it's innocent. No, it ain't. It's not innocent. If it was innocent, God would have kept me doing it. He would have kept me going adrift on the sea without him. But God is so good and he is so faithful. When you call upon him and he start opening your eyes up to the truth. And guess what I found? His word. He said they glorify me with their mouth, but their heart is far from me. And like I said, people love to say, God knows my heart. Let me tell you something. Just think now. A jealous God. Choose now whom you may serve. Around November, December, you start prepping. Right after Thanksgiving, you start setting up that tree. Every year, you start decking it with silver and gold. And you do this every year. Even after reading his word. To whom much is given, much is required. There are so many Bibles around. There are so many biblical apps. There are so many ways for you to get the word of God in your system. In my system. You know, and people wonder why people get so compassionate about this around this time of year. Like a lot of Christians get jealous. Like, we pull some Jesus Christ antics. My father's house should be called a house of prayer, not a house of merchandise. But yet, every year, around this time, a lot of churches put this merchandise in the house of the Lord. They put these wreaths. I told you, look up groves. They put these wreaths in the house of the Lord. They put these trees in the house of the Lord. They put these Santa Claus stuff. They get these angels. They put these stars. They put all kind of stuff in my father's house. And be like, God is okay with it. God knows my heart. You see, the Old Testament is key to the New. He said they set up new gods and they worship the old gods too. You know, I see the issue arise all the time, be like, it's not pagan. And what if it's still new? It's newly set up. Let's say it's not based off Saturnalia or the winter solstice and all that, but it's new. Somebody created it, and we indulge in it. You know, look up the history of Christmas. You know, it wasn't really allowed to be done in America because we were founded on Christian belief, one nation under God. And you got to think, one nation under God. Think about Mount Rushmore was not created when those words were spoken. A lot of those statues that in Washington, D.C. were not there. But the devil knows how to trick us. We call idolatry oftentimes art or decor. You know, and the thing is, the Bible does speak of decor. The ark of the covenant, how they set the tabernacle up, how he should build a temple. Solomon. He do have certain things. You understand? But the problem is with us is we worship it. People have spend millions of dollars for statues. Hundreds of dollars for artwork, for paintings. Thousands of dollars on Christmas decor. But you say you don't idolize it. You're drawn in by the attire. Red, green. You start putting it on your bodies because it's the season to wear green and red because it's Christmas time. Don't you find that setting it up in your heart? You even start buying your kids pajamas to mimic the season. And one thing you're going to realize about around this time period, you don't see a lot of red just in fall or in winter. How did red become a part of it? I'm just being real. In the wintertime, I see hardly no red. I like the color red, but I like it all the time. I don't just do it seasonal. You know, I used to buy a lot of Marvel shirts and stuff like that and worship it. And you got to be very careful this day and age, man, and women. Because he said it comes from the heart. And not what goes into a man that defiles, but what comes out. How your heart feels, it starts to show outside. Think about it. It's Christmas season. It's in your heart, right? Now you go buy you a Santa Claus hat. You buy you Santa Claus printed clothes. But you say you love Jesus. He said, those who worship me will worship me in spirit and truth. We don't even know how Jesus looked. Let's go back to another gifts I used to get. I get a gift of a picture of Jesus, and I bring it home, and somebody be like, get that out of here. There's certain things I just won't bring into my house. Like, I might try. And then God's like, no, that's not me. There's something somebody drew. There's something somebody imagined. He said you would set up idols in your heart, and you would set up physical idols. Think about it. Take a homosexual. They believe in their heart that they are homosexual, right? Then, after they believe in their heart and they accept the fact that they think they're homosexual, they go get into a homosexual relationship, and it shows outwardly. Do you understand? Same with adultery. It starts in your heart. And then you go do it. Same with lying. It starts in your heart. And then when you open your mouth, you lie. From within the heart, what he said, adulteries, idolatries, from the heart. So, keep leaning on that God knows my heart thing, or blaming I don't want to take it from my kids thing. Think about it. Your kid is 2 years old. Some of y'all got infant babies, and you're teaching them your heart's desire, right? So you're telling them this is okay. Just like if I get drunk every day, I'm telling my kids it's okay to get drunk. Or if I overeat from within, I'm showing my kids it's okay to overeat. If I'm a woman or a man who's sleep with multiple women, I'm showing my kids it's okay to fornicate, because these things come from the heart. People, I'm not trying to beat y'all up, but just remember, God is a jealous God. And he looks at the heart. He said God doesn't see how man sees. When he tried to look at the appearance, when he was choosing David, he said God looks at the heart. Because I'm guessing the other brothers probably were big men in stature, probably was bigger than David. David probably was a small man, you know, handsome, but didn't look like a warrior. God looks at your heart more than anything. So you got to be careful when you say that. God knows my heart. He knows the hatred we have in our heart. He knows the love that we have in our hearts. He knows everything that goes on in our hearts. And one thing about it, how your heart acts is going to eventually show. Where your heart at, it's going to eventually show. I know a lot of people in my family that claim to be Christian, but I'm telling you, go on Facebook. It's more glorying Santa Claus and Elf on the Shelf and everything else except God. And you can't serve two masters. I don't care if Santa Claus just started. There's no excuse. There are people making up gods for themselves now. So what's the difference? If God say don't do it, you don't do it. Like I tell you straight up, like the Bible tells you, it has holy days clearly outlined. It does. And none of them involve setting up trees in your house. No. Whether if it's old or new. Don't be fooled. That's what that dude is, Huff, or whatever his name is. He just got into a debate with another guy. I can't remember his name, but he always talking about how the Bible is trying to disprove the Bible. And he put him in his place. And then a few days later, he was condoning Christmas. I'm like, how can you win a battle and then lose one by saying it's okay? You know why? Because people want to keep doing it. It seems so innocent, seems so right. It was just that. God still is a jealous God. When Jesus walked this earth, he was still a jealous God. Y'all don't realize that? He was still jealous then. If you haven't accepted Christ in your life, I advise you to do so. Start the process and have a blessed day.